So you know how almost every Apple device you own has different charging requirements, and most of them literally require a separate charger? Apple is definitely the king of creating a need for more of their products when there really shouldn't be one. And they are also the king of charging us an arm and a leg for said product. I love my Apple devices, but I certainly don't love their tactics when it comes to selling us more proprietary stuff, and so that's where I start looking for alternatives. And today, I've partnered up with Ugreen to show you some of my favorite options that are just as good or better at a fraction of the cost, and if you happen to catch this video around Amazon Prime Day, you might find an even better deal. Let's ramble.
Hold up, face go wild when I pull up. They all on me like at once.
Hey, what's up guys? It's great to see you all again, and if you're new here, I'm Patrick and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. At the risk of sounding like a giant nerd, but as a tech geek and a YouTuber, chargers are a big part of my life, so I'm always on the lookout for alternatives to the expensive Apple chargers, and I would say there's a handful of brands that make solid, high quality, viable alternatives to the Apple chargers that are often smaller, cheaper, and sometimes even better than the Apple ones. I'm no brand loyalist. I do use what I consider to be great chargers from different brands interchangeably, but Ugreen currently has such a great lineup of charging solutions for all of my devices that it's really hard not to love them. They have a charger for any type of scenario, but maybe even more important to me, because I do travel a lot, is that some of their bigger chargers are so powerful and have enough ports on them, take note Apple, that they can actually charge all of the devices I travel with at once. So I literally only have to take the one brick and it will be smaller than the single Apple charger, which means it will easily fit in this little tech pouch that I travel with. And let me tell you, this little pouch is just as important as my passport, so this stays with me at all times. So let me show you some of my favorite chargers, the one battery pack that charges all of my Apple stuff, and at the end of the video, I've got some non-charging products to show you that you might also find interesting. So just a tiny bit of nerd talk here before we get to the juice. All of the chargers in Ugreen's Nexode lineup, which is the charging line I'm about to show you, are GaN chargers. And if you don't know, GaN stands for gallium nitride, which is an extremely efficient semiconductor that makes it possible to reach really fast charging speeds without overheating. And that is why you will find that high quality GaN chargers are a lot smaller than conventional chargers, because they don't need as much space in the housing for that heat dissipation. So in other words, you get a tiny but a more powerful charger. As with most things, Apple is a little late to the party, which means that only the 140 watt charger was based on GaN technology, and it was very recently joined by the new 70 watt charger. Now, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, my MacBook Pro would require Apple's 96 watt charger. The Ugreen equivalent to that would be their 100 watt Nexode charger. They both come in at the same price. Apple charges $79 and Ugreen is a bit cheaper at $74 without the discount. However, the similarities end there. Apple's chunker of a charger measures 4.88 by 4.88 by 1.22 inches and it weighs 12 ounces, whereas the Ugreen one is only 2.7 by 1.3 by 2.7 inches and weighs only 8.29 ounces, meaning it's half of the size and only 2/3 of the weight. And even if you don't care that much about the size and the weight, you'll probably care about the fact that the Ugreen one offers 3 USB-C ports and 1 USB-A port. The Apple charger has 1 USB-C port. Now, why is that such a big deal to me? Well, like I said earlier, when I travel, all I have to take with me is this little 100 watt Ugreen power brick and a couple of cables for my devices. With Apple, I would have had to bring that big chunky boy 96 watt brick and additional power bricks for all of my other devices. You see where I'm going with this, right? By the way, if you're wondering why my charger has a weird plug, that's because I'm in Europe and this is an EU plug. Of course, Ugreen also makes the US ones, and I'm actually low-key jealous that you guys have the retractable ones. Now, obviously, we're not always traveling, and sometimes we simply don't need that much power or that many ports. For me, this is the case mostly around the house, where I like to keep small bricks at my bedside table, for instance, with the sole purpose of charging one phone. Well, Ugreen has us covered there as well. Starting off with this little 30 watt charger, this little beast will charge an iPhone Pro Max from 0 to 55% in just 30 minutes. These chargers also have real-time protection, which means that the temperature is scanned 800 times per second, so you don't even have to worry about safe charging. The next one up would be the 45 watt charger, and this will be the go-to for a lot of people because it charges a very wide range of devices, including the M2 MacBook Air, and it will charge the MacBook from 0 to 70% in under an hour. but it can also charge something like an iPad Air and an iPhone 14 at fast charging speeds at the same time, using the dual port option. The 65-watt charger is probably the one that baffles me the most, mainly because of its size. I mean, look how tiny this is. But it will charge phones, tablets, and laptops without breaking a sweat. It's 50% smaller than the original 61-watt USB-C charger. And I know some of you will be worried about the battery health. We've all heard the horror stories about cheap chargers frying the battery because of overcharging. These Nexode chargers have what Ugreen calls the power dispenser system that provides smart reallocation of power, so your device's battery will stay nice and healthy. And then of course there is the 100-watt beastie, my favorite travel buddy, with all the same safety and reliability, but with 4 ports. This thing charges all of our Apple products. Like a MacBook Air, for instance, it would juice that up to 55% in under half an hour. For me personally, it's more important that it can charge on my MacBook Pro, and it can do that without issues as well. They do have even more powerful chargers than this one. I don't personally use those, but I would encourage you to go and have a look at Ugreen's website if you're interested in those, or Amazon for that matter. Now, I told you that there are 2 more non-charging products I wanted to show you really quick, and that is their 9-in-1 docking station and the 7-in-1 hub. I use both of them, one in the studio and one when I travel. I mean, the big boy studio dock almost doesn't require an explanation. We all have a ton of peripherals to hook up to our Macs when we get to our desks, so a docking station is a must-have. This one can output 4K at 60 Hz to 2 separate displays, and it provides 100-watt output, so it will keep your MacBook charged, making this a single cable setup. The 7-in-1 is the one that lives in my tech pouch right next to my 100-watt charging brick, because I can't even count the times I arrived at a board meeting or something like that and I couldn't hook up my computer to the projector or the monitor because of some missing dongle. So now I just carry my own wherever I go, so those problems are a thing of the past. And even if you don't need it for yourself, whipping this thing out for a colleague to use will make you the star of a meeting, I promise you. So guys, there you have it. This entire lineup is rock solid. I would choose these over Apple's chargers any day, and if you're lucky enough to catch this on a Prime Day, it's literally a no-brainer. But even off Prime Day, there are good deals to be found on these products on Amazon all the time. And as always, links to everything in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please get one of these. Subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.